Football then and now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.
This is Football Then and Now. We are back. It is episode 77. I know it's international break, but my guest and returning guest is none other than Aston Villa fan Anthony Williams back on the show. Great to have you back, man.
Good to see you, mate. Thanks for having me.
I am not going to talk about international football, I promise you. We're going to talk about, obviously, the first 3 games for everybody in the Premier League. Very, very early. I'm going to ask you straight away about Villa and what's been going on. You know, there was a lack of transfer activity, then some great bit of business at the back end there. You know, Harvey Elliott coming in, Jadon Sancho coming in on loan as well. You know, if anyone can get Jadon Sancho playing, it'll be Unai Emery, won't it?
I hope so. I don't know what to think about that one, to be honest. I've got Man U friends, and all of them are like, "Oh, you don't want him in the team. You don't want him in the team." Obviously, he did well when he went abroad. He still put some goals in for Chelsea as well, but it just seems like nobody wants him. But they said the same about Rashford. Look what Emery did for him. So I can only hope that the same can happen for Sancho.
How about the first few games? You know, it's been iffy to say the least, hasn't it?
Oh God! I mean, I didn't see the Brentford game. I was working that day. I think it was one of the 3:00 games anyway, wasn't it? But I did watch the Newcastle game when I was in Ibiza. I went to Lineker's bar, and they had the game on, and it wasn't great then. And Newcastle were the dominant team, but they didn't have no strikers, so it was 0-0 draw, wasn't it, that one? The Brentford game, I heard that Brentford outplayed us, and the last one, I was excited for Sunday night football after the Formula One. I was like, oh yeah, we're back at home. Palace have only played 3 days ago. They're going to be leggy. They were playing in the second leg, weren't they? The conference.
It's Friedrichstad, yeah.
Yeah, and because they'd already got the 1-0 at Selhurst, hadn't they? So they didn't have to do a lot over there, but they still played the 90 minutes of football. 3 days later, they come into Villa Park and absolutely stomping on us. It was unbelievable. I just don't know. I can only think that some of the guys are still on holiday. It's like they haven't come back from their holidays yet in their heads. And I think all this talk about the transfer market, is Emery going? Is he not? He's not there then on Sunday. All that sort of business has got to be playing in their heads. Jacob Ramsey is another one. He's gone. He didn't want to go, and that's going to affect the boys, isn't it? They've played for him. They've played with him for years. And I think losing a player like Jacob Ramsey, and then not keeping any of the loanees that we had at the back end of last season, I think it's just got to their heads at the moment. I just don't think they're focused. I mean, it's the same set of guys, isn't they? The team hasn't changed.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm surprised. Very early days yet. Very early days. It can take a bit of time, but I thought Villa will be, in the top half early on. But again, there's still 35 games yet.
I know, but I mean, what we're sitting on 1 point, no goals scored. I think a friend said to me, am I right in saying we're the only team who hasn't scored in the first 3 games in the Premier League? Only team. That is crazy. Look at the attack force that we've got still. We've still got Watkins, Rodgers, Tillemans is capable, McGinn's capable. Just we lost Bailey as well, didn't we?
But he was out of favour, wasn't he? And there was stuff going on behind the scenes with him, I felt. I mean, you'll know more about it than me with it being your club, but I just felt that wasn't right. That's not been right for a while, I felt.
I don't understand that, because I remember seeing an interview with Bailey last season. I think it was the beginning of the last season. And he was talking about Emery and how happy he is playing football there now Emery's come in. He was talking about how he disliked it when Gerrard was in. So it seemed like a strange one to me that Bailey's one to get shipped out. It might be to do with FFP as well. again, same with the Ramsey thing. I just don't know, but
Mm.
he wasn't really on the ball last season, Bailey. So it's a shame because he's a great player.
Now, we play one another a week on Saturday. Chris and Brady are going to do a preview next week. We're far away from it, but again, you come into Bramley Moore Dot, you come into the new stadium, of course, and you need a win. We need to keep the momentum going because we've had a fantastic start. Bar the Leeds game. The Leeds game was atrocious, just didn't get going at all. And the pressure was on then because I was thinking when we had Brighton at home, I thought Brighton are going to be bang up for this. And they were. They hit the bar, the post, they missed a penalty. They just could not put it in the back of the net. But you guys need a result. I am panicking. I'm panicking because you need a win. And we've looked good in the last 2 games. I've got to be honest. But yeah.
You have. And the thing you're going about the Leeds game, look at what Leeds just did the other day, Ellen Road as well. Leeds have been brilliant at home. So, you went to Ellen Road, didn't you, for the Everton Leeds game?
Yeah, we're away.
So I think on mine, they've kept 2 clean sheets at their 2 home games. A team who's just come up have kept 2 clean sheets already. It's the fan base there. They're absolutely ruckus, aren't they? The Leeds. I always used to hate when they was in the Premier League the last time and Villa was going up there. It was always quite an intense argy-bargy sort of game. So I am surprised you lost to them, but it was only a 1-0, wasn't it, in the end?
Penalty, which was dubious as well.
Late
there was
as well,
talk of that after the dubious penalty panel, and there was fans of other clubs saying it wasn't a penalty. I'm going to be biased, of course, but it wasn't natural where his arms were and all that positioning, body shape. They're saying about everything. They still can't get these decisions right. They go to the PGMLO and all that, and it's they've got what's his name there, the ex-ref Howard Webb. He's high up there, and they're trying to sort it out, but there's still stuff wrong with it. We saw stuff on the weekend as well.
Chelsea game.
What Leeds did to us, they stopped us playing with width. So our wingers were going in central. So that meant that Jake O'Brien was coming up from right back as a winger, essentially, because they pulled our widthy players in, if you know what I mean. They were in central positions. They weren't earth-shatteringly good, Leeds. We weren't up for the tussle in the first half. Second half, played slightly better, and then the penalty. But off the back of that, the 2 wins we've had, I think they've done really well considering losing the first game.
Well, that's also before you got Jack Grealish up and firing.
Well, he was on the bench. I would have started him. I know they were saying about fitness and things like that. In hindsight, I think Jack should have started because look how good he's been so far.
Yeah,
but
old Jack.
It's been and gone now, Ant. It's been and gone. It's onwards and upwards. But I do think we're going to have a tough game against you guys because the pressure's on. The pressure's on for Villa. They need to get 3 points.
I know, definitely. But it's going to be so tough coming up to Bramley. Only your second game there. So you're undefeated there at the moment. And, we need the points. It's as well, coming off the back of the international break, most of these guys are away on international. Some of them aren't, but there's not going to be no time to bed all of our new guys in. All the ones who've just come in, there's not going to be time to bed them with the rest of the team, is there? So I still don't think we're going to win. Villa fans are going to hate me for saying that. We'll be lucky if we get a draw. That's what I think, because Everton are playing really well.
Chris has pinpointed our back line. As good as it's been in attack the last 2 or 3 games, he says he was not happy. He was not happy with it. Branthwaite's obviously injured at the moment. Michael Keane's been playing there. I didn't think Michael Keane's been playing bad. Me and Chris pretty much agree on a lot of stuff, but he is not happy with Michael Keane. He wasn't happy with Mikalenko. He said we were open at times. I think it was that attacking brand of football we were playing. We're playing with pace now, which we haven't had for years. Pace across the middle. It's totally different tactically now, what we're able to do. But then it will probably leave us open at the back. You see it with the best sides, don't you?
Yeah, but like I say, our problem is at the moment, it's not so much, well, until the Palace game, it wasn't so much the conceding of goals, it's the not being able to score them. But we'll see what happens after the international break. But one thing that needs to happen is if Emi Martinez is coming straight back into the side, and I hope he is, because he's still got to be our number one. Bizzo didn't play terribly, but the goals weren't really his fault. just in the defence. Like when they took the corner, there was no one marking the back post. Someone should always be on the back post. There's always going to be someone coming flying in from the back post. I think the heads had already gone in that game, but it's just the like you say, it's going to be pretty open at the back for you guys. But have we got the boys going forward? We've got a few injuries again already. I don't know how long they're out, but I know, looking at the Fantasy Football app, I know that Kamara was flagged, Anana's flagged. That's a couple in midfield that were out. So I don't know whether people like Elliot, Sancho will come straight into the team. I don't know if they'll have the, like I said, I don't know if they'll have the warm-up time, the training.
It's a good signing, Harvey Elliott, as well. He did play games for Liverpool, but a lot of bench time as well. Probably felt with who's come in, it was time. It was time for him to move. He looked fantastic in the summer at the under-21 tournament. Obviously, they won that. He was a star man. They're saying about what positions he's going to play, because he can play a few positions. I was listening on the radio the other day. They said he can adapt to different areas in the middle there for you. So that'll be good in a sense as well. You can rotate him and change him and move him.
I had the same conversation last night. I'd gone snooker with a couple of lads, and a Liverpool fan, I was with Mark. I was asking him about Harvey Elliott. I said, well, what do you think? And he thinks he's a great player too. I love him. That was the signing I was excited about. Not so much Sancho or Lindelof, but the Harvey Elliott one. I was like, yes, I like this signing. The kid needs minutes. If he gets his minutes, he will get some goals. He will get some assists. He did it for Liverpool. So I think sometimes he stepped in for Salah, didn't he? When Salah came off, the rare occasion Salah didn't do the 90 minutes, that's when Elliott came on. Or the games where Salah wasn't playing because it was like a cup game and Salah's on the bench, Harvey Elliott was in for most of the game. But he's being given the number 9 shirt, don't you?
Is that his number? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I will hold my hands up if I don't know something. I'm pretty good normally, but no, I didn't know. I didn't know that was his squad number.
Because obviously it was on John Duran.
Yeah.
When John Duran went, they gave it to Rashford. Of course, Rashford's gone, so that number 9 is still going spare. I'm not saying he's going to play in the number 9.
No.
Really, that's still Watkins, isn't it? But he does. He can play out on the wing. He can play just behind Watkins. I think anywhere, Emery will know where to put him. Because I don't know where he's going to be.
How was the new boy Goose on as well? How did he get on, in your opinion?
I think he had a good first half. I can only say from what I saw in the Crystal Palace game. And I thought he had a decent first half. I thought he was one of our better players. And yet he got taken off at half-time because we was already losing. I said to Maria, I said, what's the bet? And I seen Boyne warming up to come on. I said, what's the betting that the new lad gets sacrificed here? Because he doesn't do it with the tried and tested players. I said, it's like we did it with Garcia last season. When Garcia played the first half, if he'd made a couple of mistakes, only like come half time, he was gone. Like Cash was coming back on, or Cons was moving over to the right. But from what I saw the first 45 minutes of him, I like the look of him. I don't know how much game time he's going to get now. That Elliott and that's coming in, and Sancho, because really I suppose Sancho is replacing the loss of Bailey, isn't he? So then Elliott, he could play out on the wing as well. So I think them two are going to be arguing for game time amongst themselves. Or they could both play.
Just coming away from Everton and Villa, who's surprised you so far in the Premier League? I know only 3 games in, as I keep saying, very, very early days. Have you been surprised by anybody who you've seen maybe on Match of the Day, highlights on Sky, TNT?
Well, apart from Everton, who are one of my surprises so far, Crystal Palace again. We said this at the back end of last season. They've lost Eze now, and look at where they still are. Look, obviously they won the Shield. I know Liverpool didn't really turn up for that game, but you can't take it away from Palace. From the back end of the last season, winning the cup and then going and winning the Shield, and their starts in the season the way they've started. Crystal Palace, and they played 2 games a week the last 2 weeks. So I think they, you know, it's gonna get to them a little bit later on as it gets to all of the teams who haven't got the depth in the squad to be able to conquer Europe as well at the same time. You know, Newcastle been burnt by that before. Man United the last time out. We did last season with the injuries and stuff, not quite having that second squad, but I think Crystal Palace are definitely up there.
Mark Gay, just sorry to dive in. Mark Gay staying at the last minute there. Igor was on his way going to Palace. Obviously, Gay, it was looking like Liverpool was happening. Igor ended up at West Ham, of course, so it stunted that, stopped that deal going through. Again, they're going to take a hit on Gay because if he goes in January, they'll get something for him. If they leave it to next summer, essentially, Liverpool are going to get him for nothing. Bearing in mind, Newcastle and Chelsea were sniffing around him last year when he had longer on the contract, and they were calling for like 75, 80 million for him. Liverpool were going to get him for 35 the other day. Sorry, Ant, I jumped in.
No, that's fine. You know, we could talk about Mark Gay all day. He was one of the players of the Euros, wasn't he, for the England squad? How that guy like dropped in price like that, it's ridiculous. I mean, Palace are lucky to keep him. They are so lucky to keep him. He's going to help them tackle this first part of the Europe that they've got. Whether he's gone in January or not, we'll wait and see. I still think he will. I mean, hadn't he gone up there for the medical as well?
It was all happening. It was all going to be going ahead and all that. And then just because Eagle decided he was going to West Ham, that was going to be the heir apparent, the replacement for Gay, of course. And that was that. But I tell you what, you know, you're saying about Isak and all the stuff that was going on there. Gay has kept relatively quiet. He's kept playing for Palace amidst all the speculation and that he was going. He's had the armband. That just his whole attitude, you know, I'm still playing for Palace. I will give 110%, even though it looked like he was going.
Well, look at the shift that he put in against Villa. You know, this is the night before the transfer window closes. He keeps a clean sheet. He scores an absolute worldie of a goal. Did you see the goal that he scored?
I did, mate. Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Me and we were like, well, okay, we're like, crap. Nothing you could actually do about that shot. There was no stopping that. So and then he turns up. He rocks up the next day up at Liverpool for a medical. I'm like, now that is someone who's committed, dedicated. You know, you talked about Isak. Wissa's the same. He hasn't played for Brentford so far, and now look, he's gone to Newcastle. So Martinez, he didn't play for us on the Sunday. So he's the only one, Gay, who's been putting the shifts in. He's been there every game. There was rumours, Eze and Gay aren't going to be in the lineup for that conference game, and then was. I don't think Eze was for the second leg because he had already done the move to Arsenal by then. But Gay, he was still there, and it's just like, well, he's turned up for every single game. That's, you know, if that's not advertising yourself for the transfer market, I don't know what is. That's a captain. That's a captain's mentality.
It's just amazing. Now I've heard about Isak as well. A lot of it was to do with the agent. All this, you know, he's getting blamed for it, his attitude and all that. The agent has been, you know, he wants the most amount for the player. They're greedy, the agents, you know, but then the player's the fall guy. Then it all falls on them because I'm hearing some pundits, ex-pros, are saying no, Isak's not in the wrong. And others are, but then other people are saying it's the agent. It's a lot to do with the greed of the agents as well. But obviously he's going to get it, isn't he? First and foremost, but it's the greed of the agent, you know. But
it's a good job that Newcastle and Liverpool have already played each other once, because if that game was coming up anytime soon, there'd be a bit of a war, wouldn't there, going on? I mean, it's still going to be a bit nasty the second half of the season when they play each other again. But the Newcastle fans are absolutely hating on him now, aren't they?
That's it. So, again, I'd say one result that shocked me last weekend, mate, was West Ham. The bad start West Ham have had. They've conceded loads of goals, of course, and they go up to Forest. It was the late show at Forest. That was the result of the weekend, that for me, going up there and winning 3-0, because West Ham looked woeful. They've looked terrible. You know, they went up to Wolves in the Cup, of course, as well. They got beat 3-2 there. What a result for West Ham off the back of some hammerings, you know, because Chelsea ran them ragged, didn't they?
You're talking about what surprised me, and on the reverse of that, West Ham winning wasn't the surprise. It's the manner in which they won, and actually, it's Forest that's surprising me because they're not keeping the clean sheets like they were. I just don't know what's happened there. There's stuff obviously going on with Nuno having a fallout with the management, and the players just don't seem to have their heads in the game like last season. So Forest have been surprising the other way for actually underperforming, shall we say, for the team that they've got. And I mean, they've made some new signings as well. I don't think they even brought Dougie Luiz on.
And then
he was on the bench for that game for the West Ham.
Essentially, it's Alanga that's gone. They've kept Hudson-Odoi. They've kept Gibbs-White. The back line's exactly the same. The keeper was arguably one of the top keepers in Europe last season. Sal's, he was absolutely brilliant. So they've got, Chris Wood. Chris Wood again, he scored on the opening weekend, didn't he, of course? Essentially, they've only really lost Alanga. There was Gibbs-White was getting linked with other clubs, of course. So, yeah, it's the same team. But again, is it this argument, between Nuno and the chairman?
And I think it's this whole transfer window. No one knows what they're doing. They're thinking, are we going to get? We want to go. We'll be happy to go if we get offered to go here. And they're waiting. They're probably waiting for the phone call. Like, am I going to get a call tomorrow to go over to Milan or something like that? So one of their dream clubs. And I just think this transfer window has affected everything in the Premier League at the moment. I'm glad it's finally closed. And let's just hope everyone comes back swinging like they did, the back end of last season. The teams that you'd expect to be up there, some of them are up there. Look at City. They've lost 2 games already. The Spurs one, they lose to Spurs, and then Spurs go and lose to Bournemouth the following week. Absolutely crazy results. It's so unpredictable so far this season.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was crazy looking at Spurs because even Spurs in the Super Cup against PSG, for a long time in that game, they were in control of it, and then they lost it at the end there, didn't they? They got the equaliser, penalties, straight to penalties. They look really good, and then they've
that was the night we were at the Birmingham airport. We stayed overnight because it was an early flight.
Yeah,
to go to Ibiza, and my mate was watching it at a pub, because he was staying at the airport as well. And we kept checking in on the score. I was like, "Oh, he's going to be happy with this. Spurs are leading 2-0." And then we saw the score. Oh, it's going to go to penalties. And then we saw the penalties coming up. Oh, it's a miss. Oh, it's a goal. I was like, he's going to be so gutted now because obviously PSG, doing what they did, and then Spurs taking it to them. Spurs have looked good.
Really good.
Bournemouth battered them. I mean, Bournemouth have lost a lot of play. I know you've talked about it previously. Bournemouth have lost pretty much the back line. And
the manager is key there because they've got an absolutely fantastic manager who's going to go on to a bigger team eventually. They need to keep hold of him. I did say the back line got decimated. I'll say that. I did say that, but I did say as well, Areola is a very good manager. If you can get the players back in, it's about finding the players, isn't it? And some managers have a knack of doing that. They have surprised me. Early on, to be fair, and a fantastic win on the road at Spurs. But Thomas Frank, to me, where Ange went wrong, Thomas Frank seems to have a plan A, B, C, and D. He can change it. He's put a lot of faith in Richarlison. Richarlison had injuries last season under Ange, of course, but Solanke would be starting the games, wouldn't he? But early on, Kudus and Richarlison are linking up very well from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think maybe Richarlison hasn't got to do so much running because he's got Kudus there now. Richarlison hasn't got to track back so much because I was watching under Ange. Richarlison was running half the length of the pitch to go forward because that was Ange's ball, wasn't it? Mickey van der Ven, they was all getting hamstring injuries. Van der Ven was running the length of the pitch to track back to defend. So Thomas Frank's solidified the defence a little bit. It's the same back line. It's the same back line as what Ange was using, and yet they're not conceding 5 goals a game like they was. The Bournemouth only got 1 goal. Okay, they dominated the game, but it was still only 1 goal. Spurs have kept it tight. Spurs, depending how they get on in the Champions League, they could be a bit of a threat for getting back into Champions League, but not by winning the cup, by actually finishing top 4. It's a real unknown who's going to finish in that top 4.
Apart
from Liverpool.
I want to bring a focus into the promoted teams and what they've spent. They've all cleared over 100 million. Now, 100 million in football these days with inflation in life, it affects football. We've seen the silly money for players, but obviously players coming into the Premier League, it's always inflated. There has been some good deals, but I think seeing all the promoted teams spending upwards of 100 million, you don't always see that. They've really made a lot of signings to stay in the league. Burnley and Leeds have become, yo-yo clubs essentially. They're not been able to stay in there, have they? But it's
No one
interesting
has.
to me.
The last few seasons, bottom three are the ones going down, and then top three of the championship are coming up, and then they're the ones going down next season. This season, I think you might have mentioned it previously about teams like Wolves and everything. Now, I thought Bournemouth might struggle. I thought to myself in my head, teams like Bournemouth, Wolves, especially with these new clubs doing so well, I thought teams like Bournemouth and Wolves. Now, Wolves still are going to have a real struggle on their hands at the moment. Obviously, Bournemouth seem to be firing early on. Now, they've got no Europe commitments. So, if Bournemouth carry on going the way they're going, they could finish strong in the top half of the table. No, I'm not worried about Bournemouth. I think I definitely fear for Wolves.
How many games can City realistically lose now? Because they've lost 2. Look, Liverpool, I'm telling you now, even this early on, I just think they were Newcastle in that game, considering they're down to 10 men, and they kept going at them, didn't they? And then they got the late goal. They find a knack of getting the goals. Arsenal, late goal again, fantastic finish. Absolutely fantastic from Szoboszlai.
Oh my God, the free kick, yeah. I was watching
City have lost 2. I think if they lose one more, they're going to find it very, very hard to be contending this early on. Because I can't see Liverpool losing more than 3 or 4. 4 at a maximum. I just can't see it. I just think they've strengthened. Had they've got Gay as well, as we said earlier, amazing. But I think he's done some amazing business this year. Slot.
The signings that they've got. I mean, look at what they're doing already. And Isak hasn't even come in yet. He hasn't even kicked the ball for Liverpool, and they've already got 9 points on the board. But again, everything could change. Champions League is going to start back up, isn't it? Not long after the international breaks. And I do think then as soon as these 2 games a week starts up, you're going to have to see a lot of rotation. And again, where's everyone going to play? Who's going to get sacrificed in that Liverpool team? Is it going to be Gakpo, Ekitike? Are they going to switch? Because Isak's the number 9, isn't he? Ekitike is not going to play in the number 9 when Isak's on. So Ekitike will be out in the wing. So someone's going to have to be rotating, and it's probably going to have to be Gakpo.
I think you've got 2 players per position.
Yeah,
they really have, and the top sides have. Moyes is trying to do that now. We're virtually there. It's just he didn't get another striker. I know we've got the 2 lads, but you've got the AFCON in the winter. You've got the African nations. We've got Njai going. We'll have Beto going. There's going to be players going. I would have liked us to get another striker. Njai could go into the 9 potentially if needed. We do like him out wide. But I just worry. But the teams have got basically 2 players to a position. We didn't get another right back in. We've been clamouring for another right back, but I do trust Moyes in the same breath. O'Brien, even though he's a centre back by trade, has done well at right back for us. But a lot of our fans want an out and out right back. That's what they want. Seamus, he won't be able to play all the games. He just won't be able to do it. It'd be good to come in, but yeah, it's just having two players per position is what I'm getting at.
I thought Seamus was going to be going.
We've going into the new stadium, and I think obviously because Moyes bought him in 2009, of course. I think it was that nostalgic thing. It was like he's going to have another year, and then he'll end up on the coaching staff. There's no 2 ways about it. But yeah, he had another year. He was given another year, Seamus.
Yeah, no, it's like you said. I forgot about AFCON coming up. A lot of teams, are going to struggle when they lose a lot of players. I mean, it was always Brentford used to struggle, didn't they? As in Bomo normally goes, but now obviously that becomes Man U's problem. They might have a couple of players now. Obviously, Nana normally goes as well, but that doesn't matter now, does it? Because he's not going to be first team anymore because they've signed their goalkeeper, and thank God it wasn't Emi Martinez.
After all that, it looked like he was going. I was like, I was made up he stayed. And United, for all the rubbish that's been going on, and that they're so dejected, the fan base, aren't they, with what's been going on, they've still managed to attract the players. And I thought, if he goes, that I'm kind of glad he hasn't gone as well. I really am, truly am, because you love him.
I don't want him going anywhere else in the Premier League. I don't mind if he wants to go pastures new, but not in the Premier League. Why would you go to Man United, who aren't in any Europe competitions at all, when we're in the Europa League that Emery's won several times, with the team that you love, and the boys love him. All the boys seem to love him, and I think that has been, again, I said earlier, is a major factor in that in the way Villa's been playing. I think all this buzz around who's coming, who's going,
it's affected the other lads. Yeah, it's valid. It's absolutely valid. And we're coming up to time now. We've gone past the half hour actually. So yeah, we're going to get you back on later on in the year, of course, during the season. I know you'll be on a lot for us, and hopefully Villa can get past this. I don't want them to beat us next weekend.
But don't forget, they're your second team, though.
Yes, they were a lot of people's second team. They were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. And with Europe coming up, of course, Europa League, which I'm looking forward to. I'll be following you guys, of course, like I did last year in the Champions League. So a lot coming up for Villa. But yeah, just all the best. Just don't beat us a week on Saturday, please. That's all I ask.
I can't make no promises, but you might be all right there. As you normally say, I'm going to play it safe and go with a draw.
Even though you need a win.
Yeah, even though we need the win.
Absolutely. My guest this evening has been none other than the returning guest. It is Aston Villa fan, Ant Williams. And you're going to a game, aren't you, at the end of the month as well, just before we go?
Yes, that's it. I've got tickets to the Fulham game. I bought them the night before. And then the following day, I found out they'd rescheduled it to the Sunday because they're playing the Europa on the Thursday night. I looked after I bought the tickets. I was like, "Hang on a minute, we're playing Thursday night here." I said to Maria, "I went, they're going to move this game." She goes, "Oh, they might move the Europa League." I went, "No, Europa League stays as Thursday." I went, "We're moving to Sunday." That doesn't give us much time though. It's Thursday, 8 p.m.
Yeah.
We're now playing Thursday, 2 o'clock. I still don't think that's a lot of time.
Are you away in that game?
No, we are at home. We are at home.
Still,
yeah. We're
it's
home for both. It's at home. So home Thursday, 8 p.m. Then home Sunday, 2 p.m. Not a lot of time, that.
All the best to the villains. We've had, obviously, a fair few villains on the show now as well, of course. So, yeah, just all the best. And, yeah, hopefully they get out of this stupor in the league and it'll all settle down and Emmy will be back in goal. And, yeah, as I say, just all the best to the Villa for this season. And thank you.
Same to Everton, mate, apart from next week.
And we'll leave it on that. This has been episode 77 of Football Then and Now, a nostalgic look at football. And we also look at current stuff as we have in today's episode. Chris and Brady will be back on Tuesday. They're going to look at the transfer business that has taken place. We were due to do it this week. Just we've had some issues with things going on with family and things, work. So we had to shelve it. But Brady and Chris will be back with that. They will have a pre-tape preview of Everton versus Aston Villa, which will go out next Friday, a week on Friday. And then I am on Thursday evening, I'm recording. We are doing a Manchester Derby preview with two of my oldest school friends, Dan and Andy, a Man City fan and a Man United fan, respectively. And that will be going out on Saturday ahead of the game on Sunday. So that's a pre-tape as well. But Chris will be back with Brady on Tuesday evening, looking at all the transfer business that took place, that mad transfer market. And once again, thank you so much for coming on. And we'll see you later on in the season.
Take care, mate.
Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.